3 days on the streets taught me things I never wanted to know. I learned which convenience stores let you use the bathroom without buying anything. I learned which subway stations stayed warm at night. I learned how to make a single bottle of water last an entire day. I learned how to avoid eye contact so people wouldn't see how desperate I was. I learned that, when you have nothing, you become invisible all over again. The motel I found on the first night took most of my cash. It was in a part of Seoul I'd never been to before, where the buildings looked tired and the streets smelled like old garbage and fried food. The room was tiny, with stained walls and a bed that felt like sleeping on cardboard. But it had a lock on the door, and that was all that mattered. I counted my money that first night. 300,000 won, about $250, maybe enough for another week if I was careful, maybe 2 weeks if I didn't eat much. And then what? I pushed the thought away. I couldn't think about then. I could only think about now, about surviving one more day, one more hour. My phone had been ringing nonstop since I left the hospital. Unknown numbers, Mrs. Young, even a few from the main house line. I didn't answer any of them. What was there to say? They'd made it clear I didn't exist to them anymore. On the second day, I started feeling sick again. Not bleeding this time, thank God, but nauseous and weak and so tired I could barely stand. I knew I needed to see a doctor. I knew the baby needed proper care, but doctors cost money I didn't have. So I did what I could. I ate when I could afford to. I drank water. I rested as much as possible in that depressing little room, and I tried not to think about how badly I was failing at protecting this life growing inside me. On the third night, someone knocked on my door. I froze. It was almost midnight. Nobody knew I was here. Nobody should have been able to find me. The knock came again, harder this time. Miss Cecilia, it's Mr. Lim, from the Kang house. Please, I just want to talk. Mr. Lim, Min-jae's assistant. A quiet man in his 50s who'd always been kind to me, who'd smiled and said good morning when the other staff pretended I didn't exist. I opened the door a crack, keeping the chain lock on. He stood in the dim hallway, wearing a coat and holding a plastic bag. He looked tired, worried. How did you find me? I asked. I followed you from the hospital. I'm sorry. I know that sounds creepy, but I was worried about you. Can I come in, just for a minute? Every instinct told me not to trust anyone connected to that family, but I was so tired, so alone, and something in his face looked genuine. I let him in. He set the plastic bag on the small table. I brought you some food and some vitamins, prenatal ones. You need to take care of yourself. I stared at the bag, my throat tight. Why are you helping me? He sat down heavily in the room's only chair. Because what they did to you was wrong. I've worked for the Kang family for 20 years and I've seen a lot of things I didn't agree with. But this was different. This was cruel. You believe me about Mrs. Kang? He nodded slowly. I suspected something was off that night. She was acting strange, secretive, and the way she's been watching you since then, like she's waiting for something. Yes, I believe you. Tears burned my eyes. Someone believed me. After all of this, someone actually believed me. But believing you doesn't change anything, he continued quietly. The Kangs are powerful. They'll crush anyone who threatens them, even me if they knew I was here. Then why risk it? Because I have a daughter about your age, and if someone treated her the way they've treated you, I'd want someone to help her. He pulled an envelope from his coat pocket. This isn't much, just some money from my own savings. It should buy you another month or two while you figure things out. I couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but stare at this man who owed me nothing, who was risking his job, maybe his safety, to help me. There's something else, he said. Something I think you should know. Min-jae has been asking questions about that night, about what really happened. He's been reviewing security footage, interviewing staff. I think he's starting to doubt the story his mother told him. My heart jumped. What did he find? I don't know. He's being very secretive about it. But I've never seen him like this before. He's obsessed. Like he knows something isn't right and he can't let it go. Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in days. Maybe he'd find the truth. Maybe he'd realize what his mother did. Maybe. "Don't get your hopes up too high," Mr. Lim said gently, like he could read my thoughts. "Even if he finds out the truth, that doesn't mean he'll do anything about it. Family loyalty runs deep with him, and there's still the matter of his engagement to Miss Han." The hope died as quickly as it came. Mr. Lim stood up. "Be careful, Miss Cecilia. If Mrs. Kang or Miss Han find out where you are, I don't know what they'll do. Maybe it's better if you leave Seoul. Go somewhere they can't find you." "I don't have anywhere to go." He looked at me with such sadness it made my chest ache. "Then stay hidden, stay safe, and take care of that baby." After he left, I ate the food he brought. Rice and soup and kimchi that tasted like the best meal I'd ever had. Then I took one of the prenatal vitamins and lay down on that terrible bed and cried until I had nothing left. The next morning, everything changed. I woke up to my phone ringing, another unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" "Cecilia." The voice was male, young, speaking English with a slight accent. "My name is Detective Park. I'm with the Seoul Metropolitan Police. I need to speak with you about an incident involving the Kang family." My blood went cold. "What kind of incident?" "I'd rather discuss it in person. Can you come to the station?" "Am I in trouble?" "No, but you may have information that could help with an investigation. It's important." He gave me the address. I wrote it down with shaking hands. 2 hours later, I sat in a small, windowless room at the police station, facing Detective Park across a metal table. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, with sharp eyes that seemed to see right through me. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I know this must be confusing. Let me explain. We've been investigating the Kang family for several months now. Financial irregularities, possible fraud. During our investigation, something else came to light." He pulled out a tablet and turned it toward me. Security footage. The Kang house, the kitchen from that night. I watched myself on the screen, taking the tray with the medicine from Mrs. Kang. I watched her lean in close. Saying something I couldn't hear, I watched myself nod and walk away. "We obtained this footage as part of our broader investigation," Detective Park said. "We noticed something unusual. Look here." He rewound and zoomed in. Mrs. Kang's hands, doing something to the glass on the tray, adding something, powder dissolving in the water. "That's Rohypnol," he said quietly. "A date rape drug. She drugged her own son, and based on what happens next, she drugged you too." He played more footage. Me later, looking disoriented in the hallway. Mrs. Kang appearing, guiding me toward Min-jae's room, me stumbling, her practically carrying me. I couldn't breathe. I'd suspected. I'd known deep down. But seeing it, watching it happen on screen was different. "Why are you showing me this?" I whispered. "Because we need your testimony. We need you to tell us everything that happened after this footage cuts off. We need to build a case against Mrs. Kang for what she did to you and her son." "A case? You mean criminal charges?" "Yes. What she did was sexual assault by proxy. She facilitated a non-consensual encounter. That's a serious crime." My head was spinning. This was bigger than I thought. This was real legal trouble for Mrs. Kang. This could destroy the family. "What about Min-jae? Does he know about this?" Detective Park hesitated. "Not yet. We wanted to speak with you first. But he's been asking questions, making his own investigation. I think he suspects something." "If I testify, if I do this, they'll destroy me. You don't understand how powerful they are." "I do understand. That's exactly why we need to stop them. People like the Kangs think they're above the law. They think money and power mean they can do whatever they want to whoever they want. But they're wrong." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to think justice actually existed for people like me. But I'd seen too much to be that naive. "I need to think about it," I said. "Don't think too long. We need to move on this before they find out what we know." He gave me his card, and I left the station, my mind reeling. I walked for hours after that, just wandering through the city, trying to process everything. The footage, the investigation, the possibility of justice. I ended up in a park, sitting on a bench, watching people live their normal lives. Couples holding hands, families with kids, old men playing chess. Everyone just existing in a world that made sense. I put my hand on my stomach, still flat, no visible sign of the life growing there, but I could feel it. A flutter, a presence, a future that depended entirely on the choices I made right now. My phone rang, unknown number again. Hello? Cecilia, Minnie's voice, cold, controlled. We need to talk. I don't have anything to say to you. I know what my mother did. I froze. I saw the security footage. I know she drugged us. I know you were telling the truth, and I need to see you. Please. Please. He never said please to me before. Why should I trust you? Because I'm asking. Because I was wrong. Because I need to make this right. You can't make this right. You threw me out. You called me a liar. You. I know what I did, and I'm sorry. But please just give me a chance to explain, to help. I should have said no. I should have hung up. But I heard something in his voice I'd never heard before. Regret. Real, genuine regret. Where? I asked. He gave me an address, a coffee shop in Gangnam, public, safe. I almost didn't go. I sat in that park for another hour, arguing with myself. But finally, I got up and took the subway to meet him. The coffee shop was small and expensive, the kind of place where a single coffee costs more than I used to make in a day. Min-jae sat in a corner booth, wearing jeans and a simple black sweater. No suit, no tie. He looked different. Human. I slid into the seat across from him. We stared at each other for a long moment. You look terrible, he said finally. Thanks, you too. And he did. His eyes were shadowed. His face was drawn. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I ordered you something, he said, pushing a plate toward me. Sandwich and fruit. You need to eat. I wanted to refuse, but I was hungry, so I ate while he watched me. I saw the footage 2 days ago, he said quietly. I've been trying to track you down ever since. Mr. Lim finally told me where you were this morning. Mr. Lim, of course. I confronted my mother. She admitted everything, not apologetically. She actually seemed proud of herself, like she'd done something clever. She offered me money to get rid of the baby and disappear. His jaw clenched. Of course she did. Your fiancé threatened to kill me. I know. I've ended the engagement. I blinked. What? I ended it. This morning. I told her and both our families that the wedding is off. Sio-Yon didn't take it well. That was an understatement, I was sure. Why? Because I'm not marrying someone who threatens innocent people. Because this whole thing was built on lies. Because he stopped, running a hand through his hair. Because I can't keep living like this, following my mother's plans, marrying for business, pretending none of this matters. The baby matters to you. Yes, and you matter to me, or at least you should have mattered. You deserved better than what I gave you. I didn't know what to say to that. I want to help, he continued. I want to support you and the baby. I want to make sure you have everything you need, medical care, a place to live, whatever you want. I don't want your money. It's not about the money. It's about doing the right thing, taking responsibility. You don't remember that night any more than I do. How do you know the baby is even yours? Because my mother doesn't do anything without a reason. She chose you specifically, and I need to understand why. There was something in his voice, something that made my skin prickle with awareness. What do you mean? He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. Old, faded. A teenage boy standing on a beach, his arm around a young girl, both of them smiling. This was taken 12 years ago, he said. In New York, the summer before I started college, I was visiting my aunt and I met this girl at the beach. She was beautiful, kind. She made me laugh in a way nobody else did. We spent 3 weeks together, best 3 weeks of my life. My heart was pounding. On the last day, we went swimming. The current was stronger than we thought. She got pulled out. I went after her. I managed to get her back to shore, but I got hurt in the process. Cracked ribs, dislocated shoulder. She stayed with me until the ambulance came. She was crying, apologizing, saying it was all her fault. No, this couldn't be happening. The paramedics took me to the hospital. When I was discharged 3 days later, I went back to the beach to find her. But she was gone. My aunt said the family had checked out of their rental. I tried to find her. I searched for months, but I didn't know her last name, didn't have her number. She was just gone. He looked up at me. Her name was Cece. She had the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen, and a small scar on her left shoulder from when she fell off her bike as a kid. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but sit there while my entire world realigned. I never forgot her, he said softly. I compared every woman I met to her. Nobody ever measured up, and eventually I convinced myself I'd imagined how special she was, that it was just a teenage fantasy. He reached across the table. His fingers brushed my left shoulder, right where my scar was, hidden under my shirt. It's you, he whispered. You're her, you're Cece, you're the girl I've been looking for 12 years. The tears came before I could stop them, hot and fast and endless. You didn't recognize me, I choked out. You changed your name, you cut your hair, you lost weight, and I wasn't looking for you. I thought I'd never see you again. But now, looking at you, really looking, I can't believe I didn't see it before. Your mother knew. What? She knew, she must have. She investigated me before hearing me. She saw my old name. She figured it out. That's why she chose me. That's why she did all of this. Understanding dawned on his face. Because she knew I'd never stop looking for you, even subconsciously. So she forced us together in a way I couldn't refuse. An heir, a baby, something that would tie us together forever. It was twisted, sick, brilliant and horrible all at once. What happened to you? He asked. After that summer, why did you change your name? I didn't want to tell him, didn't want to drag up those memories, but he deserved to know. My mom died 2 months after we got back from that trip. Cancer. It was fast. Then my dad, he couldn't handle it. He started drinking, got violent. I ran away when I was 17, changed my name so he couldn't find me, worked whatever jobs I could get, eventually made my way here because I thought I could start over somewhere nobody knew me. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. Isn't it, if I'd tried harder to find you, if I'd. You couldn't have known. We sat there in silence for a long time. The weight of 12 years and all the what-ifs and all the pain pressing down on both of us. Finally, he spoke. What do you want to do? About the baby, about us, about all of this? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. The police contacted me. They want to press charges against my mother. They asked if I'd testify. Will you? Will you? I thought about it. About Mrs. Kang and everything she'd done. About the destroyed room and the threats and the money she'd tried to use to make me disappear. Yes, I said. I'll testify. She doesn't get to do this to people and walk away. He nodded. Then so will I. We left the coffee shop together. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel completely alone. But we only made it half a block before everything went to hell. A car screeched to a stop beside us. Doors opened. Men got out, big men in dark suits with hard faces. And then she stepped out. Han Sio-Yon, wearing all black, her face twisted with rage. You really thought you could just end it, she screamed at Min-jae. You really thought you could humiliate me and my family and there wouldn't be consequences. Sio-Yon, go home. This is over. It's not over until I say it's over. She pulled something from her purse, small, silver, sharp. A knife. Min-jae stepped in front of me instantly. Put it down. No, you chose her. You chose this nobody over me, over my family, over everything we built together, so if I can't have you, nobody can. She lunged. Everything happened so fast. Min-jae pushed me back, the knife flashed, someone screamed, blood sprayed. But it wasn't Min-jae's blood. One of Sio-Yon's own men had grabbed her wrist. The knife had turned in the struggle, had caught her across the arm, deep. She screamed and dropped the knife. Blood poured from the wound. The man who'd grabbed her looked at Min-jae. I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't let her do this. It's wrong. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police. Sio-Yon collapsed on the sidewalk, crying, holding her bleeding arm. All the fight went out of her at once. She just looked broken, pathetic. I loved you, she sobbed. I actually loved you and you threw me away for her. You never loved me, Min-jae said quietly. You loved what I represented, the merger, the power, the status, but you never saw me, not really. The police arrived, paramedics, chaos everywhere. Detective Park appeared in the crowd. Are you both all right? We're fine, Min-jae said, but I think you'll want to add attempted murder to your investigation. Sio-Yon was loaded into an ambulance, still crying, still screaming about betrayal and love and revenge. The knife was bagged as evidence. Witnesses gave statements. Through it all, Min-jae held my hand, tight, like he was afraid I'd disappear again if he let go. Later, much later, after all the statements and questions and chaos, we sat in Min-jae's car. Just sat there in silence. What happens now? I asked. Now we do this right. You move into a safe place, somewhere my mother can't find you. We get you proper medical care. We prepare for the trial. And we figure out what we are to each other. What if we're nothing? What if that summer was just a fantasy and we're completely different people now? Then we figure that out too. But we owe it to ourselves to try. We lost 12 years. I don't want to lose any more time. He drove me to a hotel. A nice one. Safe. He'd already arranged everything. A suite with a living room and bedroom and a view of the city. I'll have Mr. Lim bring you anything you need, he said. And I'll be back tomorrow. We have a lot to figure out. He turned to leave, but I stopped him. Min-jae. He looked back. That summer, on the beach, did you mean what you said, about it being the best 3 weeks of your life? Every word. Me too. Something shifted in his expression, softened. For just a moment, I saw the boy from the beach, the one who'd made me laugh, the one who'd saved me from drowning, the one I'd never forgotten. Get some rest, Cece, he said softly. Nobody had called me that in 12 years. Hearing it from his lips made my heart ache. After he left, I stood at the window, looking out at Seoul. This city that had been so cruel to me. This city where I'd lost everything. But maybe, just maybe, it was also the city where I'd find everything I'd been looking for. The trial took 3 months to prepare. In that time, so much changed. Mrs. Kang was arrested and charged with multiple counts including drugging. Conspiracy and facilitation of sexual assault. The evidence was overwhelming. The security footage, the testimonies, even some of her own staff turned on her. She never apologized. Not once. Even in court, she maintained that she'd done what was necessary for her family's legacy. The jury didn't agree. She was convicted and sentenced to 8 years in prison. Sio-Yon was charged with attempted murder. Her family tried to make it go away with money and lawyers and influence. But there were too many witnesses, too much evidence. She got 5 years. The scandal destroyed both families' reputations. Stock prices plummeted. Business partners pulled out. Everything they'd built came crashing down. Min-jae stepped down as CEO. He couldn't lead a company while everything was falling apart. Instead, he focused on rebuilding, on creating something new, something clean. And on us. We took it slow. Therapy, conversations, learning who we were now versus who we'd been at 16. It wasn't always easy. We fought. We disagreed. We had moments where it felt like too much history, too much trauma, too much everything. But we kept trying. The baby was born on a cold morning in February. A girl, healthy and perfect and screaming her lungs out. Min-jae cried when he held her, actually cried. She has your eyes, he whispered. And your nose, I said. We named her Grace, because that's what she was, Grace in the middle of chaos, hope in the darkness. 6 months after Grace was born, Min-jae asked me a question. We were in his apartment, Grace asleep in her crib, the city quiet outside. Do you remember what you said to me that last day on the beach? He asked. Before the accident. I thought back, 12 years, a lifetime ago. I said I didn't want the summer to end. And I said it didn't have to. I said maybe this was just the beginning. You also said you'd find me, no matter what. I did find you. Took me 12 years and the most messed up circumstances imaginable, but I found you. He got down on one knee. My breath caught. I know this is complicated. I know we're still figuring things out. I know we have a long way to go, but I also know that I lost you once and I'm not losing you again. So, Cecilia, the girl from the beach, the woman who survived everything my family threw at her, the mother of my daughter, will you marry me? I looked at him, this man who'd been a boy I loved, who'd become a stranger who hurt me, who'd found his way back to being someone I could trust. Yes, I said, but I have conditions. He laughed. Of course you do. No big wedding, no press, no making this into some public spectacle. Agreed. And we do couples therapy for at least another year. Done. And you never, ever, call me a gold digger again. His face went serious. Never, I swear on everything I have. Then yes, I'll marry you. He slipped the ring on my finger. Simple, elegant, perfect. We got married 3 months later in a small ceremony. Just us, Grace, Mr. Lim, and a few friends I'd made. No family, no spectacle, just two people who'd found each other twice choosing to stay together. It wasn't a fairy tale. We still had hard days. Days where the trauma crept back in. Days where I couldn't forget how he'd looked at me in that hospital room. Days where he couldn't forgive himself for not protecting me. But we worked through it, together. A year after the wedding, we left Seoul. Too many bad memories, too much pain. We moved to a small coastal town, bought a house near the beach, started over. Min-jae opened a consulting firm. Small, ethical, nothing like his family's empire. I went back to school, studied social work, started helping other women who'd been in situations like mine. Grace grew up with sand in her toes and salt in her hair, and no idea how dark things had been before she arrived. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, Min-jae and I would walk on the beach, just like we had 12 years ago, and we'd talk about everything we'd been through, everything we'd survived. Do you think your mother planned all of it? I asked one night. From the very beginning. I think she saw an opportunity and took it. She always was good at manipulating people. Do you miss her? He was quiet for a long time. I miss who I thought she was, but the woman who drugged us, who tried to destroy you, no, I don't miss her. She'll be out in a few years. I know, but she won't be part of our lives. I won't let her hurt you or Grace, ever. I believed him. We kept walking. Grace babbled in her stroller. The sun set over the ocean, painting everything gold. Hey, Min-jae said suddenly. Remember what I told you that first day, on this beach, when we were kids? You told me a lot of things. I told you that sometimes the universe has a plan, that even when things seem random, there's a reason. I remember thinking you were full of it. He laughed. Maybe I was, but look at us now. After everything, all the pain and trauma and chaos, we're here together with our daughter, building something real. You think the universe planned all of that? The drugging, the abuse, the near-death experience. No, I think terrible people made terrible choices, but I also think we found our way back to each other despite all of it. And maybe that's the real miracle, not some cosmic plan, just two people refusing to give up. I leaned into him, felt his arm wrap around me, solid, real, safe. I love you, I said, even after everything, maybe because of everything. I love you too, Cece. I never stopped. Grace started fussing. Min-jae picked her up, bouncing her gently, making silly faces until she giggled. And standing there, watching him with our daughter, the ocean behind us and the future ahead of us, I realized something. They'd called me a gold digger, a schemer, a liar. But I'd survived. I'd fought back. I'd refused to disappear. And in the end, I'd found something more valuable than gold. I'd found myself, my strength, my voice. And along the way, I'd found love. Real, complicated, hard-won love. The kind worth fighting for. The kind worth keeping. Make sure you're subscribed because you don't want to miss the next story. Trust me, it's going to be even more intense than this one. Hit that like button if this story had you in your feelings. And drop a comment letting me know what you thought. Did you see the twist coming? What would you have done in Cecilia's situation? Remember, life can throw you into the darkest places, but you're stronger than you think. You're worth more than anyone's opinion of you, and your story doesn't end when someone tries to write you out of it. You write your own ending. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for being part of Cecilia and Min-jae's journey. Justice was served, love conquered, and the truth set them free.